Right ahead.
Hello, this is the regular monthly meeting of the Mountain Arts Community Center Advisory Board. Today is September 29th, 2020, and we are doing our meeting once again, live stream, virtual, in the interest of keeping everybody safe in this COVID-19 era. So welcome everybody, my name is Ryan Walker. I'm gonna start off with a roll call. Seth Graham. I believe Seth Graham is not in attendance today. Rob Inman.
I'm here.
Rob is here. Angie Landrum.
Here.
Angie's here. Sally Halloran.
Here.
Thank you, Sally. Ellis Gardner.
Here.
All right. Welcome. Thank you to Town Manager Boyd Beal and also to Sam Guin for helping make these virtual meetings happen. Glad you guys are here. Thank you for your work. So our board is missing one member. Of course, we have one member, Seth, not in attendance, but we are lacking a position. I understand that we have multiple applications. Has the for that position, the town has not voted to approve an individual for that position yet, have they?
They did actually last night.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Right.
I didn't have a chance to catch up.
Yeah. And I will apologize, even on the heels of you being nice enough to thank me. I dropped the ball on that regard. I planned to contact them this morning, though it would have been short notice and make them aware of this meeting. And walked in the door to find part of the town hall once again flooded from the storm we had, and
Okay.
kind of got derailed and until just a little while ago. Thought of it again, but they did appoint Susan Robinson. Very extensive history in the arts. 23 years. She ran an arts organization. I'm trying to look here at, and you guys may be familiar with it. She was executive director of Arts and Education Council. She's done a fellowship of Southern Writers. I mean, it goes on and on, but very well qualified, and I think would be a good addition. And again, I apologize. I meant to at least take a shot at getting her on this meeting, but I will be sending out a letter to her and let her know what the normal meeting schedule is.
Susanna Murdoch contacted her last night. She was walking out the door from the meeting, and Susan already had plans this afternoon, so she couldn't be here anyway.
Well, you could have interrupted me before I laid out my soul.
Throw yourself under the bus.
Well, that is. I still did not do what I intended to do, but I'm glad she is not here because of my failure.
That's right.
Well, I've been busy, so I should have followed up before this meeting too to see if we could get her in there. Had I known, but next time. We don't have a lot of business to discuss. So, all right, well, that's good to know. Thank you, Boyd.
Sure.
Not really much to discuss as far as our advisory boards work right now. So Angie and Cheryl and Dick and team are doing so much work with the SMAPF at the helm. So Angie, do you have updates for us?
Sure. Well, as most of you know, Saturday night was the first event for the new Mountain Opry. They came, Rob volunteered. It was great.
Good.
They set a limit of 50 people in the theater for the live show and sold out. They charged a $5 ticket at the door, and they filled the theater, and plus had some extra people out in the courtyard, which is really lovely. It was a beautiful night, and we had tables and chairs out there and opened the new windows on the back of the theater so you could hear the music out in the courtyard. So it was really, really nice. And then there were groups in some of the classrooms jamming, and some of the bands practiced before going on stage. So that was really cool to hear music down the hallways. And we had concessions in the cafeteria, and we set up a line so people just walked through, got their food, and then walked directly out to the courtyard to eat outside. So that worked really well. So we'll probably do that again, weather permitting. That will always be an option. But anyway, that was a good deal. And the Mountain Opry people were really pleased with the space and how it went. And, we knew the first time would be kind of a trial run sort of thing. We were a little afraid we would have too many people because they have a big following, but they tried not to advertise it too much so that we wouldn't have that problem. And it really worked out really well. We really had just the right amount of people. So chances are word will spread and we may have more next time, but we have talked about different ways to handle that. They may do 2 shows where we have tickets for the first show, and then we empty the theater and have tickets for the second show, which will be a repeat of the first, so that more people can see the show. And if they're there, more than that hour, they can go down the hall and hear other groups jamming, or go outside and hear people playing or whatever. So that's kind of a work in progress, but it went really well.
And that's a monthly engagement. Is that what they're going to do once a month?
Yeah, last Saturday of every month. And there was some confusion on the times. Some of the bands thought it started later than it did. We were told 6 to 9 is the hours that they rented. And so I'm not sure exactly when they're wanting the music to start, or, if they were saying doors open. I'm not sure. I heard a lot of different times. So hopefully they will confirm that and, make their advertising a little more solid, so that we don't have people showing up really early or really late. But overall, it was really good. So once we tweak it a little bit, it'll be great.
It did feel like the whole building was engaged. I thought that was a neat feeling.
Yeah.
And I posted a picture saying it was wonderful to have an audience in that room finally.
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was fun to hear applause.
Yeah.
From outside and I was in the cafeteria most of the time, but I could hear the applause from there because we had all the doors open. And that was really nice to hear that. And it's when you look in there, and when we have in some of the pictures, it still looks so empty, because we had all the seating, everybody spaced out, and a lot of seats were roped off so no one could sit close together. So it made it look a little empty, but it sounded full, and the people who were there just really enjoyed it. So it was fun.
May need more sofas in the back. The sofas were very popular.
They're always popular.
Yeah.
That's the best seat in the house.
Yeah, apparently.
I have a question. As a longtime fan of the Mountain Opry, actually a couple questions. Is there an organization that is in charge of the Opry and the Opry brand, or have we sort of taken that over?
No, we have not taken it over. We are just the venue.
Good. And the real question is, you may know this, I'm just asking out of curiosity, the decision to go from every Friday to once, but making it a Saturday night, that I think it's better than a Friday night. But was there some discussion about, the Opry's traditionally been Friday night for years, and now it's going to Saturday?
Yes, it was actually to make it easier on the musicians because a lot of them, they were starting on Friday nights. The show didn't start until 8 o'clock, which was really a late start for a lot of families who have
Right.
kids, and a lot of kids enjoy going to it. So, but it was also hard for the musicians to get there on a Friday after work because most musicians also have real jobs.
Right.
So they thought by changing it to a Saturday and starting it a little earlier, it would work better for families and musicians. And changing to once a month, their competition is another similar program in, I think it's out in Ooltewah, Snow Hill. I think it's Snow Hill School has a similar thing on like the second Saturday or something. So they chose the fourth Saturday so as not to compete with that, because a lot of the same musicians make the rounds to the different venues. So
Angie, I talked to a couple of their board members, and they wanted to make it clear that this is a new entity, that this is a new board for them, and that they have different ideas on what they want to do. I also wondered, I'd left early, but did it go till 9 o'clock as scheduled?
it did. It was closer to 9:30 before we got all the musicians out the door. They kept playing, but yeah.
Good.
Having fun. Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole new gang. Ken Holloway was the, chair of the previous nonprofit that ran the one out in Walden, and he decided to retire from it, I guess. And a lot of the people who were longtime fans and members, I think some of them were previous board members, decided to just start a new one, start over, change it a little bit. But yeah, it's great. I'm glad it's continuing. It's, it's not in the same place, but it's still on the mountain and in our community. So I'm glad it hasn't just disappeared, because it's a lot of fun.
Was the last hour more of a jam session?
I think the last hour they let more people on stage to do like open mic.
Okay.
They had scheduled two bands. The two main bands were Mountain Cove and what was the other one?
Track 145.
Yeah, track 145. So those two both played, and then the last hour or so, I guess they invited others up to play.
Okay.
So yeah, I just heard it from outside the room. I didn't get to actually watch it.
As far as classes at, I'm sorry, I should have asked if there are any other questions about the Opry before I move on. I was curious about how the classes are going. How many classes are happening right now at the MACC?
Classes are going great. We, when we first started inviting the teachers back, we had about half of them responded and said yes. And they contacted the students that they had before, and on average had about half of them say they would come back. A lot of people want to wait a little longer. But now that they've been back, a couple weeks or a few weeks, however long it's been, I guess it's been a month. Most of them are full up. We've actually got, some of them have more students than they had before. And I don't know if that's because some are homeschooling and have more time to do something else or what. But we've got some teachers who only had one or two students previously, and now they have several. So has actually grown, which was kind of a surprise. But it's going well. We've had no problems with, people come in the front door and get their temperature checked, and everybody's wearing masks, and they fill out the little questionnaire saying they've not been around anybody sick. And so far it's been great, and everybody's really happy, and the teachers are very happy, and they're coming up and, telling us they appreciate, it's reopening, and it's just going really well.
So how do you see your capacity doing? Like, I'm glad that it's working. Do you see that you'll get to a point where it'll just be too many people? So
far it hasn't been. There's very little overlap as far as people being in the hallways, passing each other in the hallways when classes end. They're kind of staggered enough that there's not much of that. And we really only have ballet. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. ballet classes, I think there are 4, and they're at different times. We've got 1 or 2 that are in the mornings and 2 in the afternoon or something like that. I'm not real up on that. But that's probably our only big groups, which I think the largest one is maybe, I don't know, 8, 10, something like that, little bitty girls. And that's in the late afternoon, 4:30, 5:30, something like that. But for the most part, it's, it's private lessons. So it's just one person in and out at a time. So there's not a lot of, there's no congestion in the hallways or anything. So that's good.
As we were getting ready to start the town council meeting yesterday evening, the group of little ballerinas came single file down the hallway in their little light blue tutus with their little light blue masks, 3 or 4 feet apart, marching down. And
Aren't they cute?
it was really neat to see. Unfortunately, they had to have the masks on, but they were doing exactly what they needed to do, and they were just cute as buttons.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun to watch.
Definitely noticed a lot of activity, and it seems to be spread out for a pretty nice, a pretty large window. So it's nice to see people over at the MACC more than just a very narrow time frame. So it's good to see the building being used. What do you have like a maximum for? Do you have a maximum for like a maximum class size?
Yeah, we've got a new art class starting. The art teacher that's at the middle school, Betsy McLean. She's going to start October 5th, I believe, teaching an art class to, I want to say 5th and 6th grade, I believe. And her class filled up like in a few days, and a full was, I think they cut it off at 12. I think it's 12. She's in the gallery, which is room 5, which is a really large room. We completely emptied it, and she has tables set up there kind of in a U shape and has everybody spread out. And so that's the biggest class we've got there. Yeah. Most of them are cutting off a little smaller than that if they're moving around, like the ballet classes. They don't have that many.
What have you identified as needs?
Beginner guitar. We need a beginner guitar teacher. If you guys know anybody. We have a lot of guitar students. Nathan is full up. He's got so many students, and I've been trying to reach John Bevins. If any of you know him, I finally texted his wife. So I'm trying to get him back. But yeah, that's been something we've had requests for, is a beginner guitar.
The operational, would you have operational needs? I mean, like obviously volunteers.
Yeah. Yeah. Main thing is evenings, Monday through Friday from 4 to 8. Sometimes we get out of there earlier on Friday, but 4 to 8 generally is the busiest time. That's when the most classes are happening. And that's when we could use another person at the front door. So it's very easy. You stand there and point the little gun at people's foreheads and take the temperature, remind them to fill out the health form. And, it takes seconds, and then they're down the hall. Everybody now, since it's been going on for a few weeks, knows where they're going. So they just buzz right in and walk by. But it's just checking people at the door, reminding them to wear their mask. I mean, everybody's wearing their mask, so it's not a problem. But yeah, an extra person is good, because whoever's in the office, there's people also that come in and out to hand you a check for their class or ask questions or sign up for something new. So you really need someone in the office and at the door at the same time during that time. So if you want to volunteer, I think Dick sent out a Sign Up Genius email a week or so ago. But if you can't find that, just call him or email. And
I didn't see that.
Okay.
I do not either, but
Well, just let
I'll
him know.
look.
I mean, if you can only do an hour, or if you can do
Yeah.
whatever you can do is helpful. So if you've got free time, and if you want to
Yep.
do it on a regular basis, that would make it easier too. You could
For
do
sure.
every Tuesday for 2 hours or whatever. That would be great.
You'll get me soon.
All right.
Yeah,
So
if there's a schedule in front of me, then I'd be more inclined to plug in some. This week, there's nothing I could do. Next week too, but after that,
After the play.
yeah, after the play and after the play and after a couple other things, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a busy time right now for a lot of people, but we've been managing it well. It's going really well. But yeah, Dick and Cheryl would like a break every once in a while. They're the ones there every single day. So
They're always there every time I come.
they're always there, and I feel guilty because I took the last 6 weeks we've been renovating our house.
yeah.
So
Don't feel guilty, Angie.
I feel guilty. I've left her there all by herself, but well, I'll be back over there probably within a month, so that'll help.
But I don't know if this is a question, it's more of an observation, but it may be drawing upon Boyd and his knowledge of building codes and things like that. Because we have rebuilt this building with independent air conditioning, heating systems in every room, I would assume that's a safer mode than having one big system that mixes everybody's air. Is that accurate? And is that a sales pitch or a feature that we need to point out to parents that just, I mean, we know the building, but they don't. People that might be on the fence might go ahead and send their kids in because it's only that one room they're breathing.
I hadn't thought about that.
I think I don't know. I could not speak to that authoritatively from a technical perspective, at least, that it makes sense. But we are still in that process. So there are a lot of rooms that are not centrally heated. They still have some radiators and basically transient heat that's helping some of the spaces. And also, I think we're getting ready to do another group of rooms. And from what I understand, that there was a single unit donated, so that will be going in the room. So we're moving in that direction, but I think it would be difficult to make that pitch on a large scale quite yet.
Right. But it's all about airflow and air mixing. The radiators don't mix air from one room to the other, but other than the auditorium, I don't think there's a bunch of rooms that share air. But that's something that if you have, and this really I'm saying to Angie and anybody else that's answering questions, if you have someone that's worried about it being indoors, that's a positive thing that it's only that one room.
You could also remind them it's an old drafty building, so
It's like being outside, isn't it?
Right.
plenty of airflow.
But no, I mean, that's certainly a good point where there is no air mixing from one classroom to the classroom next to it. There is no space in that building that is tied in with any kind of central system. It's every single room is its own compartment. So, yes, if you're, you're breathing the air, of course you're wearing masks, so that's good. But your air is going to be, you're just going to be sharing the air of the people you can see basically, and that's it.
Right. And the doors are being left open, so the rooms aren't, the air's not confined in that room. There's still airflow out in the hallways. I mean, even, the front door is open a lot, and there's a lot of air flowing. There's always a lot of air flowing through the building. But yeah, it's good. Oh, speaking of HVAC units, this week, rooms 5, 6, and 8 had Mike was there redoing electrical or installing new electrical, getting ready for the new HVAC systems in those 3 rooms. So that's done. And he also, room 8 is the garden club room, the one on the corner of Wilhite Hall. Also changed out the fluorescent lights were reworked so that they have hardwired LED light bulbs now. So that room is bright now. So now we can see that we need to paint that room. So that's to the list. It looked okay there for a while, but now it doesn't. So we got to paint that. But yeah, so that got done this week. If you haven't popped in to see what was the director's office, we're now calling the principal's office. That room is looking really nice. Pretty much done. Needs the window repaired on the bottom half where the old air conditioner used to be. But yeah, and room 3. Oh, you've got to see room 3. It's the room that did have the rumpled green carpet. That's out of there, and right now it just has sticky glue left on the wood floor. But the rest of it is done. It has new ceiling, painted walls, new schoolhouse lights. It's really pretty. It looks really good, and it already has HVAC in it, so it feels really good. So that's a nice room that just got to do the floor, and we're done at that room. So that's another big room added to the options. But it's nice.
What's the function of the principal's office?
Well, it's
Jail.
Great jail. It's a great little practice room if you have, a small instrument.
Okay.
Gordon loves using it for, clarinet. But I think we're about to rent it. We just had someone contact us yesterday needing an office space for 2 months, just a temporary space. So I think he's going to get that room because it's off by itself. It's quiet. So it's good. It's good office space for making phone calls or whatever. So everything is pretty much mixed use except for the rooms that, are full of stuff like the art room or the drum room. But that's the other thing with the, I mentioned Betsy coming to teach a new art class in the gallery. The gallery is now like another art studio, but it's an art studio that's going to be for multiple art teachers, not just one teacher, which is, Val's room is basically for her stuff because she's got it full, and she is open to having other people, come in, and she shares the space, but it's really full for that type of art. So the gallery we're trying to reserve for different artists to come in and do different kinds of art, like mixed media or whatever. So that's something that Betsy was telling us, that elementary schools really need more art, because when the kids come to middle school, high school, they're not really ready for art classes, if they want to take it seriously. So they really could use more elementary art, additional work. So we're going to try and target the younger kids, get them into art sooner, try to get them ready for high school art. So anyway, fun stuff.
Sounds like a pretty good start. This is you're essentially making it up as you go with everything being fairly new.
Yeah.
Operationally, looks like it's going pretty well.
It is. Town guys took down the other portable building, and
oh, right, that's a big one.
Yeah, so that looks nice. And Art and I were out there the day of the Mountain Opry Saturday, cleaning up all the trash and stuff that was left, on the ground. So now it looks good. If we could get somebody over there to grade the, level it out. Boyd. I think it will work well for the top half of it to be extra parking. So if that could be smoothed out and add gravel, that's good parking, right there between the kitchen and the gym. And then the other half where the building actually sat, I guess, it's just rough dirt, that could be smoothed out. And we would ideally, like, we've talked about this before, Ryan, putting a community garden, raised beds back there.
Okay.
Good spot. It's going to be fairly close to the new water that we're having the irrigation installed for the pollinator garden. So it'll be close to that. And it's a good sunny spot. It's away from the streets, right next to parking. So it'd be easy to park and work in your garden. And anyway, good location. Just need a little help getting it smoothed out.
All right. I mean, that's a good, taking that thing down was a big job. So
yeah.
Also, as far as the pollinator garden is concerned,
Mhm.
are they just waiting for the irrigation to get finished?
Yes, that's
Okay.
last I heard. I think though, now that it's cooled off, they were also waiting for it to cool off before they
Right.
plants. So I expect them to do that any day now since it's cooled down and we've gotten some rain. And
They've already got the framework in the garden set, right? For the irrigation.
yeah, the irrigation is in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That'd be nice to see.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you need, Angie? Anything else that you need from our board that would be helpful, other than volunteers from 4 to 8?
Volunteer, yeah. Volunteers is the main thing. We still, of course, are scraping and painting here and there. So if that's something you enjoy doing or want to work by yourself in a room, you're not wanting to
Enjoy.
greet the public, if that's, worrisome. We can always stick you in a room by yourself and let you work on a window or a door or something. So plenty to choose from.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Hi.
Intruder in the
Welcome.
house. Hang on.
Oh, hey, Dan.
Hello. I just stepped into Angie's really weird office. In the floor. I was just
Okay.
over at the old gym over at the MACC, helping Art take some screws out and just cleaning some stuff up. And I know, Ryan, you talked at one time about you guys have all talked about the option of a shop out there maybe at some point.
A woodworking shop, right?
Yeah, or a maker's space.
Or a make, right.
This is way out of school for me, but it occurred to me while I was there that the plays need shops, spaces to build sets and things.
Right.
I don't think we've talked about that, but as I was in there, I was thinking, man, you get that back down to a concrete floor. That's a wonderful space for that kind of thing to happen, and would make it easier for the Playhouse when they want to do things, or anybody else, any other group that wants to do plays there. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be formally set up as a shop. You just need a space to build because they don't have it.
Yep. Yeah, that would be a good community resource.
Yeah.
And you're right. Just having the building is a perfect size for any kind of workshop of that nature. I mean, it's a metal building with a great concrete slab.
Good concrete floor. Yeah.
1,800 square feet, I think, is what we estimated. That's a good size space, well lit. I mean, it's ready.
I've only noticed one significant leak in there, which might just be something fixed with a little roofing cover or whatever it needs in there. So it's nothing major. It's
a metal roof, so that should be generally easy to fix and inexpensive to fix as well.
Right.
I would hope. And yeah, I've definitely worked at buildings with leaky roofs. You just avoid the wet spot, right?
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, that
will be something. Yeah, it's a lot to figure out. Just liability when it comes to any place of tools, you just got to figure out the liability. But there are places that do that. So, so it's just a matter of figuring out the model.
They're already using tools on the stage to build things. It would just be easier to build outside than it would inside.
Yep. So, well, that would be definitely the low risk way of doing it, is just making the space available. But I think that you could probably do more with it. It's a great, there's so many different directions. It's a really, even though it's not part of the main building, it's just a really great resource for the center to have.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
All right. Well, I'll unplug myself from this now.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right. I will, I have a list with like 3 whopping things, and I still managed to forget the first thing on my list. That's how organized that I am. So we should formally address the last set of minutes that we had. Our last meeting was a skip in August. So our last meeting was in July, July 28th. So I looked over the minutes, and I would move to approve the July minutes as written.
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Second from Rob. Second from Rob. Is there any discussion before we take a roll call on the vote? Okay. Get my list. Okay, so votes to approve the July minutes. I'm going to start with myself, Ryan Walker. I approve. Rob Inman.
Yes, approved.
Right. Angie Landrum.
Yes.
Thank you for writing them, Angie. Sally.
Yes.
And thank you. Yes. And Ellis.
Approved.
Approved. Okay. And Seth is still not here. He has not popped in without my knowing. So, okay. So, all right. That's a unanimous with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 votes. And with the absence of Seth. July minutes are approved. Again, thank you always for writing up those minutes. Angie, it's just something else to put in your list of things to do, so I appreciate that. Is there any other business that anyone wishes to address? I will say that I am the most disorganized person. It's lovely that we have these Zoom meetings to preserve my chaos for posterity, the public record. We will be voting for new positions at the end of the year. I would like to note that I am not very organized, and I am a pretty terrible chairperson, so I wish I'd had more energy this year to put into this.
You're doing fine.
I am like the bare, I'm the bare minimum. So
You're worth
there's a
what
lot.
we're paying you.
That's work on that pay scale an awful lot, that pay rate. So anyway, I just want to put that out there. I look forward to meeting our Susan, our new member, hopefully next meeting, and we'll put her to work hopefully next year. So next meeting will be Tuesday, October 27th. Would we like to, does 3 o'clock work? Obviously, Ellis, you specified 3 o'clock. It's
Well,
good for you.
this week it did.
Okay.
It's a hit or miss, but in the fall and winter, it's less likely
Okay.
for me to have a conflict. But
Well, just-
is it problematic for either you and or Seth? Because I remember thinking maybe Seth would prefer the evenings, but we can't do that with the town on
Right.
Zoom.
Yeah, I'd like to not go later than 3 o'clock for the town's resources.
Yeah, good.
We'll
2 or 3.
tentatively, we'll double check. We'll say 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock for next meeting, but we'll set that in stone when we get closer to that time. I think that's not too chaotic.
Yeah, if at all possible, if we could nail that down, if we don't have a set time, if it's gonna change, if we could nail it down at least a few days in advance, so we.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's difficult at times, but we try to check those boxes if at all possible, make sure we get advance notice out.
Yeah, we ran late this time. I apologize for that. All right, let's go ahead and just say 3 o'clock, and we'll try to stick to that for the next meeting. Okay. If there's nothing else to discuss, look forward to seeing everybody in a month, October 27th. Thank you for your time. It's about, my clock's not right. It's about what, 3:40 or so, and the meeting is adjourned. Thanks a lot.
You guys have a good evening.